nobody else is gonna do it, so I gotta be the man to do it. Look, I don't want to be known as the alarmist. I don't want to be known as the fear porn guy. I don't want to be known as the guy who scares the crap out of you every time you come on the channel. But I honestly believe that we are out of time. Now, I know I've switched completely from 2 hours ago on here excited about prepping to now somber and angry and fear porn. I get it. And let me tell you why. Here's what happened. In my last live stream, somebody was talking about the guy who killed himself because of what the government was planning, all right? Somebody left a couple comments about it. They left a comment on the last video about it. Tons of people were trying to respond to the comment and ask that person what they're talking about. Here it is 2 hours later. That person just got back to me. I don't even know if it was that person. Somebody emailed me what that person was commenting on my page about. And it about knocked me out of my seat. We'll take a look at the article. But first, let me tell you what it is. Listen, does everybody remember in 2016, an ICE agent committed suicide in New York? A customs and ICE agent. I remember seeing the story. Do you guys remember that? 2 years ago, the ICE agent killed himself on a bridge. Everybody said he was a disgruntled employee, or I forget what the excuse they gave for his suicide. He left a suicide note that was published in the news. Well, when people read it, they thought he was freaking nuts, right? Let me read you. Oh, another powerful statement. The title of this video is a quote from the ICE agent who took his own life on a pier in New York in 2016. This is a quote from his letter. So I'll read the letter and then I'll show you the article, okay, you guys? So now that we see what's going on in 2018, we can read his suicide note with new eyes. The America I grew up in and cherished has been murdered by its own federal government. Our Constitution has become meaningless and our laws politicized so badly they are no longer enforced except for political purposes. Our elected officials are, to a person, utterly corrupt and completely devoid of any love or respect for the country which pays them. To them, everything is about getting and keeping power and making illicit money from backroom deals. I was hired to enforce the law, to capture and deport people who come to this country against our laws. But now, if I dare to do that, I face being suspended or fired because our president refuses to faithfully execute the duties of his office. And I believe it was Obama the president then? Instead, I come to work each day and collect a paycheck twice a month for intentionally doing little to nothing. I cannot and will not be a party to this fraud, to this usurpation of the law, or to the despicable politicians betraying our nation. Now, okay, he seems like a disgruntled employee. Listen to this next part of his suicide note. If the American people knew what this government was planning, they would rise up and overthrow it. If I or anyone else in the federal government revealed what is coming, we would be killed anyway. So now I will reveal what I know. We, in federal law enforcement, have been drilling for several years to control riots and uprisings from a coming financial collapse and widespread bank failures. The drills involve life-sized images of American men, even women and children, whom we are told to shoot for practice and get used to it. We have been told that the economy is terminally ill and will fail in 2016. We are also told the banks are all insolvent and the FDIC doesn't have nearly enough funds to bail out depositors. We are told these events are unavoidable and it is imperative that the government survive when the people rise up over this. It is imperative that the government survive when the people rise up over this. What's that tell you? They know that we are going to raise hell when they do this reset. And they've been preparing. When the collapse takes place, detention camps created under the FEMA Rex 84 program in the 1980s to house illegal aliens whom we were going to deport will instead be used to imprison American citizens whom the government feels constitute a threat. American citizens will be rounded up without warrants and imprisoned without a trial for God knows how long. These camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-scale killings and an actual purge of American citizens by the very government which they themselves created and pay for. And I cannot be a party to this. Is this what Mr. Patriot's been warning me about? He's been telling me people like me, the Patriots, the YouTubers with the loud voice, they're going to take us first, right before the grid goes down, or the internet shuts off, or right before it gets kicked off. The government knows the military will rise up to stop this. Our military is being deployed overseas and intentionally involved in foreign fights so they cannot be here to help Americans. This is why certain ammunition and weaponry has been removed from state-level National Guard armories, and over 1 billion rounds of hollow point ammunition have been bought by the federal government. The states themselves have been disarmed of military-grade firepower so they cannot defend themselves from the federal activities. This is also why local police departments have been militarized and provided with armored vehicles and weapons of war, the note says. When the inevitable collapse begins to take place, electric power to the entire country will be shut off, as will all forms of communication. All banks will be immediately closed. No one will be able to get any money because all the ATMs will be offline. Credit, debit, and EBT cards will not function. Anyone without cash will have no way to get any. The emergency alert system will be used to take over all broadcast stations and tell the public that this is a result of a cyber attack. But while the American people patiently await things to get back to normal, the government will unleash roundups of citizens they deem militants or dangerous. With all civilian communications out and all TV and radio stations taken over by the emergency alert system, by the time word spreads of what is taking place, the government will already have the upper hand. Every federal prison has been outfitted with lethal gas systems. When things go bad, all prisoners in all prisons will be placed in their cells on lockdown. Prison staff will depart the facility, and certain designated person will trigger a lethal gas system. All federal prisoners, regardless of their crime or their sentence, will be gassed to death in their cells. Once the gas clears, the dead will be removed, and the prisons will then be used to house citizens who fight against the federal onslaught. So intent is the government to succeed that they have recruited priests, rabbis, and clerics from various religions to quote appropriate scriptures about obeying government. They are being trained to tell people not to fight back and that their best hope is to pray. Executive Order 13603 about National Defense Resources Preparedness. This 10-page document is a blueprint for a federal takeover of the economy. Specifically, Obama's plan involves seizing control of all commodities and products that are capable of being ingested by either human beings or animals, all forms of energy, all forms of civil transportation, all usable water from all sources, health resources, drugs, biological products, medical devices, materials, facilities, health supplies, services, equipment, forced labor, as the executive order delicately refers to military consumption. Moreover, federal officials would issue regulations to prioritize and allocate these resources. We in federal law enforcement have also been told that the government has a full database of all so-called preppers. These people will be dealt with first by armed federal agents coming to take their guns, their food stocks, so food can be redistributed as the government sees fit. And that's all of the suicide note that's in this article. I don't know if there's more or not. I'll pull it up on screen. The link's in the description. Links in the description. I think this video needs shared, you guys. And all I did was read an ICE agent's suicide letter who walked out onto a pier in New York and blew his brains out. I'd say that's worth listening to, right? I'm getting that same story from 100 different people. That little story he just wrote. Think about, I just watched a video that I think it's the Real Anonymous channel made. I don't know. The title of the YouTube channel is Anonymous. It might not be the Real Anonymous. You never know, man. Then people could be anybody and everybody. You don't know who they are. I just watched a video. Maybe I should link that too. About the DARPA training that was done on Plum Island recently. You guys saw me doing videos about the grid failure training they did. Do you know they did that grid failure training as if an enemy cyber attack took down the grid? So it's funny he mentions in that letter that they're going to take down the grid with a fake enemy cyber attack. He mentions that in his suicide note. That's the training DARPA just did on Plum Island. Now go look up both of these pieces of information that I've linked together with you. Read about the DARPA training they just did on Plum Island due to an enemy cyber attack. You know, it was a drill. Then go back and read this guy's suicide note about the cyber attacks taking out the grid. I don't know. Pretty freaking scary. And then everything I've been hearing from the historians, they're telling the same story as both of those. I mean, identical. This video needs to be shared because I can't imagine YouTube leaving this up that I read his suicide note. I'm not going to delete this one, but yeah, YouTube's going to censor this. And it's funny, the title of the video is a quote from that ICE agent's suicide note. I suggest everybody share this video with everybody you know. And when shit hits the fan, if you think the government knows who you are, you better bug out. You better be gone long before they get to your house. Scary. I'm out, guys. Thumbs up this video so a ton of people see it. Share this video everywhere. And then go down, link in the description, and read this ICE agent suicide note for yourself. Also, when I get off stream, I'll link Anonymous's recent video in my description too. So you need to look at both of those pieces of information. And you need to share this video, guys. Thank you.